Welcome to the Cybersecurity Simplified podcast, where we take the mystery out of today's top security threats and solutions. Build or buy, insource or outsource, DIY or DIFY. This debate is one business leaders have over many functions, from marketing to accounting to HR. Now, when it comes to cybersecurity, the decision is infinitely more critical. You need highly specialized expertise and expensive technology running 24/7 to stay ahead of an evolving and persistent threat. In this special edition of Cybersecurity Simplified, we will ask a tenured IT MSP to weigh in on why outsourcing cybersecurity is a no-brainer. Hi there, I'm your co-host, Susanna Song.
And I'm also the co-host, David Barton.
And we have joining us today is Frank Heckman from Hybrid IT Group. Thanks for joining us, Frank.
Thanks for having me.
And Frank, tell us a little bit about your MSP.
Well, I started Hybrid IT Group back in the mid-2000s, and when things in the industry started to become a little bit more specialized, and fast forward 18 years, it's become extremely specialized. So we started getting into the MSP space back in 2014, trying to take all of the best practices that we've done for our customers from 700 to 1,500 users to the 100 user market. And it's been an interesting venture going from different customer bases and different needs, and also a lot of different requirements on us.
And where are you located? Are you regional? Are your clients typically in your area?
We service mostly southeastern PA, but being so close to Philadelphia, there are a lot of companies that are headquartered in our area. And we have companies that are nationwide and global. We have locations that we manage that are in the UK, in Switzerland, and all over the place.
Take us down the journey several months ago, or even it's probably been actually more like a couple of years ago, when you got to the juncture. You have this thriving MSP where your clients need cybersecurity. Every business needs cybersecurity. What kind of decisions were you having to consider?
Well, I started dealing with HIPAA back in the late 90s. So some of the things that people are coming to grips with today, I've been dealing with for quite some time. But now that I look at cybersecurity as being a little bit different than the simple rampant virus that's denial of service, okay, block this. It's now getting to the point where it's almost seems hyperbole to say it will put customers out of business, but it does. Mm-hmm. I have customers that we calculate their annual or by the hour their revenue, and it's for them to be down for any significant amount of time. It's absolutely devastating. So really taking that approach to what do we need to do to fully provide the services that they expect of us to keep their business to survive in this world where it's not just a hindrance, it's people that are truly trying to put them out of business and put them in that impossible position of, well, ransomware. Or I don't totally get some of the mentality of some of these people on the why they do this. I can understand the extortion of money, but it's a tough situation because it's definitely ramped up beyond anything that I could have fathomed a number of years ago.
So as you went down this process, what were the things you thought about versus the build? I'm going to build it myself versus I'm going to buy or I'm going to outsource.
Well, being that it's technically possible to take a whole bunch of different tools and create something that, yes, we can to deliver to our customers. There's a lot of factors to it. I mean, one is the technical decisions that you say, can this be done? And what is the quality of that to be done? There's a purchase threshold you have to get into to say, my business plan now for the next 2 years, are we even going to be breaking even on this service offering? Big question. Now, the other thing is, how are we going to manage it? How are we going to integrate that? Then to go to sales. And then it becomes a little bit improbable to actually do it yourself, depending on the size of the company. Because there's so much within the cybersecurity space that's changing every second. Well, now what? And being that I'm trying to keep our customers up and running to figure out the threats on all these people that are trying to break their infrastructure, it's a lot to consume. So looking at outsourcing that specialty really wasn't much of a hard decision. I knew right off the bat, it made no sense to do it in-house.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying, Frank, is you're going to focus on the relationship you have with your clients, why they've come to you all these years to help with the IT infrastructure, and you're going to outsource to experts in cybersecurity to do their thing. What are your clients saying about it? What do they think about that co-branded, that joint effort of a cybersecurity team coming alongside you as an extension?
Well, being that a lot of the cloud service offerings are very popular these days, or has become a norm, it's not as difficult of a conversation. And to really be able to articulate to your customers correctly that the cybersecurity professionals are in extremely high demand, and to be able to have a resource where there is someone looking at your traffic in your network 24/7, 365, it's a huge value. And it's obviously something that I can't do, or my company can't support. So
when we think about this, and one of the business drivers for us even building Overwatch, were those really three things that you touched on, but I'm gonna drive it home and just get your perspective.
Sure.
Number one is, you can't find security practitioners. There's not enough, right? There's a global number, depending on which survey you look at, of millions of vacant cybersecurity jobs, right? So having a team like ours that does nothing but cybersecurity on your behalf means you don't have to go find them. So that's one of the business problems that we solve. Two is the tool set, right? You talked about tool sets. There's thousands of tool sets. What are the right ones? And then how do I find people to manage them, right? Rewind to problem set number one. And so in our world, we bring those tool sets and we deliver them as part of the service. And then I think the third one is the volume of data. And I don't know that you touch much on it, but the volume of data that most companies have to ingest and look through and find those needles is astronomical.
Yes.
And they just can't, right? If you rewind to Target, and I know Target's been a long time ago, but in the Target breach, if they had somebody looking at logs, they would have found that HVAC contractor. It was there in the log data, but they didn't have people looking at it because it was too much noise, too much data.
Yep.
They didn't have AI and machine learning to help them find those needles. And so those are the business problems that we set out to solve when we built Overwatch. And I think those match up with some of the challenges you were facing as you were trying to decide, do I build it myself or do I buy? Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. I've dealt with IDS, IPS systems for years, and I've dabbled with the Seracatas and all. The amount of data, as soon as you start turning that on, it's dumbfounding how you're inundated with things that you need to sort out and parse and figure out what is really a vulnerability within this environment. And plus, with the scope of the amount of traffic that you're looking at, is you have the ability then to look over the course of your whole customer base and
Right.
get a better pulse of what's going on, where I was only looking at what was really going on at the edge of a particular customer. So were these threats even something that was valid or not? There was no way for me to even tell.
Sure.
So I'm putting all this effort in to actually, at the end of the day, figure out that I'm doing not a very sufficient job, because even though I had a lot of data, I didn't have enough from enough sources.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, Frank, one last question as we wrap things up. Any parting words about how you're serving your clients with Overwatch cybersecurity and how you're able to better serve them and provide defense and layers?
Well, one of the things you had mentioned about even outsourcing, and it quickly became apparent that we needed to do that. And I've done that with a few different vendors. And one of the things that to my astonishment, when we had our kickoff call, there was a small army of people that came on that call. And I was very pleasantly surprised. From my initial speakings with Overwatch, I got that impression that this is a company that wants to work with us. And there's other vendors that I've dealt with that you didn't really have that same feeling with. And I've been absolutely delighted with my experience, particularly that we're dealing with our customers and their employees' livelihoods. And I've had a lot of conversations on how do we implement this particular network and work through the best practices and make sure that our processes all match up. And the working relationship that I've had with Overwatch has been absolutely terrific.
Well, that's always good to hear. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Frank Heckman of Hybrid IT Group. And for those of you listening at home, thank you for spending the last 15 to 20 minutes with us. If you have any feedback for David or the Overwatch team, or you have a question for Frank, please contact us at overwatch@highwirenetworks.com or leave a comment down below on this YouTube link. And be sure to join us for our next episode, FBI Files, Cybersecurity Stories from an FBI Agent. Until next time, I'm Susanna Song.
And I'm Dave Barton.
And this is Cybersecurity Simplified. From all of us here at Overwatch by Highwire Networks, thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Cybersecurity Simplified podcast. To learn more, visit us at highwirenetworks.com/podcast.